Well, good evening, everybody from South Korea here. Depending on where you are at, you might be waking up or about to go to sleep, or maybe you're just watching this a couple months from when it was actually recorded. And so we are at the KOTESOL National Conference. My name is James Rush, and I'm hosting this particular session. What I would like to do is to make sure that you know that here at KOTESOL, we are pretty adamant about respect and kindness. And so we want to make sure that when you are commenting, sharing questions in the chat rooms and whatnot, that we abide by that code of conduct. Also, if you are not wanting your face and your name to be shown, make the edits necessary, rename yourself so that that doesn't show up on the recording, because this is going to be saved and edited and hopefully posted to our YouTube channel in the near future. With that, I do want to also make sure that you know that we do have a special announcement about some of our gamification efforts that are being made to make this whole national conference interactive. And I believe our panelists will share some fun, exciting news. That's right, very exciting. And there we go. Teacher Jeannette Laoshi, if you could go ahead. Oh, I got to make sure I give an official introduction, right? So Jeannette Kranick is an English teacher with experience teaching in Spain, Korea, America, and now China. She's involved with KOTESOL currently and has been here since 2015, doing a lot of encouraging and my first time meeting her has been with this session, but she's been around a year or so longer than I have. She's currently working at the affiliated high school in Peking University in Beijing, and where students there are completing their education with the idea of going international. And during this COVID era, that's taken some different paths than we maybe had normally anticipated, but we're going to hear some students as they have gone through their bilingual education and what all that means to them. So thank you. Welcome, you senior 3 students, and I will look forward to monitoring the chat room for questions. Please do share those as you come along, and here we go.
Thanks so much, James, for introducing and for helping us out today. Hi, everyone. I'm Jeannette, and I'm joined here with right now what looks like 6 of my students. We may have a 7th joining us a bit later. And I've invited all of them to sit on the panel with me and talk a lot about their lived experiences after so many years in English education. Every one of them is in their final year of high school. They're sort of at the end of a long process. I know all of them through my senior 3 or 12th grade class. And at our school, the senior 3s have a lot of choice about the English class they take. Every one of these students chose to take a class with me, and specifically a class where we had a sort of meta look at English education, English learning, and identity. Everyone on the panel wanted to join us in the conference today. I had a lot of awesome applications and I couldn't choose, so all of you are here with us, students, panelists. All right, so that is where we're at. And I want to quickly have every one of my student panelists just introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, name, age, how long you've been studying English, and we'll go from there. So let's see if we can start with Cindy. Can you tell us a little about yourself?
Oh, hi everyone. My name is Cindy and my Chinese name is Liu Yingxin. And I'm now 16 years old and I have learned English since I was in first grade in the primary school. Yeah, I think that's all.
Okay. Then Song Jiaying, can you tell us a little about yourself?
My English name is Jojo and my Chinese name is Song Jiaying. I started learning English when I was kindergarten, but I started my English learning officially at primary school.
Perfect, thank you. How about Linda? Can you tell us a little about yourself?
Hello. My Chinese name is Jin Jingyi, which in Korea kind of Kim Jin. And I'm 16 years old and I studied English from kindergarten as my friend's Jojo. Yeah, that's it. Brief introduction.
Great. How about Ruby? You're next.
Hello everyone, my name is Ruby. I'm 17 years old and I'm Linda's friend and I have 2 dogs and I have learned English from kindergarten. Thank you.
Awesome. Sybil, how about you next?
So hi everyone, my name is Sybil and my Chinese name is Wang Ziyuan. I also started my English learning journey since kindergarten and have learned English for about 12 years, and that's all.
Perfect. And Sophia?
Hello everyone. So my name is Wang Yihan. That's also my Chinese name. And you can call me Sophia. It's easy to remember. And I'm 17 years old. I have learned English from kindergarten. I think that's all.
Awesome. And it looks like we have our final person. Angela, you made it in okay.
Hi, sorry I'm late. I'm Angela and I'm 17 years old. And I also start my English learning from kindergarten. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. All right. Thank you all for introducing yourself. So we might have all noticed a common thread about when our panelists started their English learning. It's fairly early on, early years. And I'm going to now invite them to, again, one by one, tell us a little more about what that English learning journey looked like, how English learning worked for them, maybe what was successful, what was not, and some teachers that stood out maybe, or anything like that. Angela, are you good to start us off in alphabetical order?
Yes. Okay, so I think my journey is quite successful because, like I said, I start in a very early age from the kindergarten. So I think this actually helped me to have a strong foundation for my future English learning ability. And also another thing that I think is important for me is that in my junior high school, my school actually designed their own textbook for us. So this kind of textbook only used by the student that belongs to my school. So I think this unique support really is very meaningful for me a lot to have some personal English study. And also another successful part is the English speaking test in China. So it is actually count as one part in our 中考 and 高考, so that in my journey, every aspect of English learning is valued. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Angela. Quick vocabulary thing, if you're not in the know, the 中考 is the high school entrance exam in China. and the Gaokao is the university entrance exam. For those of us based in Korea, it's a very similar system. All right, so Angela, thank you again, especially for talking so much right after you finally managed to enter our Zoom room. And Cindy, can we come back to you? And Cindy, can you tell us a little bit more about your English journey? What brought you here?
Like I've just said that I learned English since the primary school because in China, English is a compulsory subject since our first grade in the primary school. And besides learning English in the school, we also have extra curriculum, like most of the Chinese students both will go to the extra curriculum. And phonics was a new concept English, which is really familiar to most of the Chinese students. And because if we go because go to these classes can give us more opportunities to learn English besides the basic knowledge we learn in the school. And however, compare with, I think, my classmates, my English learning is not really successful because I started learning it quite late. Most of my classmates, like the following, started learning English in the kindergarten. So, so even though I haven't stopped to learning extra curriculum in my whole journey of learning English, but I still it's not in a quite successful stage. I still remember that when I learned the PT and KT, the Cambridge system exam during the junior high school, and many of my classmates are from the first grade of the primary school. Like we have 6 years of the age. That's my journey.
All right. Thanks, Cindy. I shared those images you sent me earlier, some of them from your typical textbooks, and I shared them in the chat box right here. Yeah, it's very interesting, the differences we see between ourselves and others, but I am not here to talk too much right now. So Jojo, are you ready to continue and share a little more detail about your English journey with us?
Yeah, so I started from kindergarten, but it was not officially from school. Like I learned English from my parents. And so I didn't start from learning ABCD and to learn how to read those words. I actually start by speaking English and using some nouns like mom, dad. I start through learning these English words like a native English speaker. And then when I entered to the primary school and into some extracurriculum courses, I started learning how to read those words and how to write those words and learning ABCD. So I think that's not very common for other students, but it's my English journey. And when I entered high school, I just learned the TOEFL exams, learned for the TOEFL exam. So I entered some classes for TOEFL and to improve my English ability. Yeah, that's all.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, TOEFL is a very common thing, a stressor, a concern for a lot of students at our panelists' age and a few years before. Okay, let's go down my list. Linda, are you ready to share a little bit about your English journey with us?
Actually, I think my English learning journey is quite success because like I started to learn English when I was in the kindergarten, which is like kind of earlier than most of people in China. And besides, I think it is successful because like, you know, in China, the English is a kind of subject for the 9 years required education. Like every citizen in China should have this like English learning. So compare with different country, I think I'm lived in a country that like provide the opportunity for me to learn English when I was young. And everyone knows like learning second language from an early age could be like many more benefit for yourself. Like it's more easy for a person to learn a second language when they are young. Like that's it.
Great. All right, thanks very much. Ruby, are you ready? Can you share a little bit about your journey with us?
Yes, I think my English learning journey is pretty similar with them. Like from kindergarten, we learn English from like some alphabets and some basic words. And I think my learning journey, like they are separated into two parts. Like the first part is the English learning before before I enter high school, because before high school, I never think about like go abroad and use English as my basic language in our life. So I just learn English for exams. So I think if I learn English for exams, like 高考 or 中考, my first part of English journey is successful. But if I need to go abroad, then the first part of my English learning is not enough. So then I learn English in school, like English class every weekend, just for prepare to go abroad. Yes, and like TOEFL test.
Okay, thanks very much, Ruby. And let's move down the list. Sybil, can you tell us something specific about your English learning journey?
Yeah, I think my English learning journey was consisted of from two parts. One is activity-based and one is exam-orientated. Like when I was in the kindergarten or the primary school, it is more activity-based. Like our teacher told us with some simple English songs, and we've had practice the play like Alice in Wonderland, things like that. But when we move to the primary high school, we need to face the 中考 exam. So we practice more on the grammar, spelling, and things like that. And in my high school, it is kind of mixed of both. Like in Dalton, like our high school, when we take class, there are more activities and readings, things like that. But when we are going to face the exam, like TOEFL test, we practice more on those problems, like more focused on how to getting higher scores.
All right, thanks, Sybil. And Sophia, can you share with us about your journey as well?
Sure. So I remember that when I was in the kindergarten or primary school, I started learning English from pronunciation, such as the A, B, C, D, and I know each of the characters, and I can spell the words and read them smoothly. Yeah. And when I was in junior high school, so I prepared a lot for 中考. And when I was in Dalton, that our high school, so it's a great chance for me to use English to, to communicate with each other and have class in English. So that gave me a chance for our future to go abroad and fit in those new environments. Yeah.
All right, thank you for sharing, Sophia. So we definitely have more, I have more questions I can ask you, but I thought at this point, now that we've heard a little about our student panelists' stories and their journeys, if anyone has any specific questions for them, either as a group or as individuals.
Well, I would Sorry, just a second. Hold on, let me just get a sound mix.
Background sound effects. I bet the wind from the storm is blowing like right through my speakers. It's so loud where I'm sitting.
Sorry, I have another channel open that I'm just monitoring. So what would you really, really like to be doing a few years from now, if you could do anything?
Earn money.
Okay, how? Paint me a picture. What does it look like? Earning money doing
like holding a store, maybe just hold a restaurant or a cafe, like just enjoy your life. That is kind of my dream life in the future.
Right, so business owner. What would you say most students your age around you want to be doing or think about the most? For example, a lot of students, I find in Korea, a lot of students think about being a government worker because they hear it's a good job, or it might depend. Some other ones might be interested in sports or starting their own company. These days, a lot of my university students are really interested in technology related jobs like AI or building something. I'm just curious if there are some popular themes around you.
Not really. I think it depends because for some of our students who have really strong interest in specific field, who have already decided their major, they may have pictured the future like I remember one of our friends, he was really into math, so he decided to study math all his like rest of his life. But for most of us who haven't decided what we are going to do, we seldom think about our future. We are more focused on the application, where we are forced to focus on the application that we need to pass to get into the university.
Survival of the present. Got it.
Yeah, like there's not a specific career that's everyone wants to be, like to go to the government or something. Everyone have their own interest, and someone were still undecided yet.
I have a question, or Bria, do you have another question? I have a question, which is.
I was just gonna say, I think you have a question. I was gonna mention your name, Jasmine. I saw the question coming up.
I wonder, how do you think you'll use English in the future after school and after university?
Can I answer that? Like personally, I think English is just a tool to communicate with people from different country. Like it is the common language of the world, so maybe just use it to communicate with other. Use some social medias, maybe to see others' life. Like just a tool, not a. I don't think that is a tool for survive. Like I disagree with the previous opinion, but I just want to use it to make friends actually.
Yeah, I quite agree with like Linda's idea. Like beside the intermediate for communication, I think like English is also a way for us to broaden our horizon. For example, if we want to study videos on the YouTube, then there's no subtitle for Chinese. The only things you can use is to give a subtitle of English. Otherwise, you cannot understand the documents or the funny videos on the YouTube. And yes, and also like there are many literature which is written by the English. Even many people who didn't study abroad, they need to learn English as a compulsory subject in the university because it is a tool for them to understand the literatures. Yeah.
Okay, I have another question. So sometimes I ask this to anybody who's learning another language. When you're speaking English or when you're speaking Chinese, do you feel like your personality is the same? Or do you feel like your personality changes when you're speaking English? And how does your personality change? I find some of my students become more outgoing when they speak English because they sort of have removed certain limitations in their normal way of thinking about things. But then, of course, it's harder because they don't have all the vocabulary. It's not as easy for them to say everything that they want. So I just wonder, do you feel like your personality is the same with both languages? I know for me, when I speak Korean, which is not as good as your English, but I have another personality that comes out a little bit and the way that I talk. So I was curious if anyone wanted to go to that question.
I think speaking English helped me become more warm-hearted, and I'm also want to help others. So the reason for that, you know, the English is an international common language that most of the people around the world that can understand that kind of language. So if you master to speak or understand the English, so I can go to some poor areas such as the Africa for the volunteering teaching. Yeah, that make me more warm-hearted. Yeah.
I think because I use English and use Chinese to like in different environments. Like basically I use Chinese almost all the time before. Like when I talk to my friend and make jokes, I always use Chinese. So like the people who listen to my Chinese, they may think I'm a talkative person, but in fact, for English, I only talk English like maybe in class or like talk English to Jeannette. So like I mostly use English to speak some knowledge or just like to express some questions. So I don't know how to make jokes by English. So like a lot of teachers may think I'm very shy and I can't speak a lot in class. But in fact, that's because my English is pretty bad than Chinese. So yes.
I think English actually make me more outgoing. Like in the language of Chinese and Japanese, these words are quite reserved. Like people don't directly express their emotion in their words, and sometimes they will like imply some of the meaning behind the words. Like although I said that, but there's some meaning behind it. But well, in English, most of the time, people are saying what they're thinking about. So like when using English, I think it's more expressive or outgoing than normally I am. Well, like when speaking Chinese, I'm not that outgoing, and sometimes won't be that emotional too. And just like what Ruby have said, we're not sure about how to use English to talk jokes. So sometimes it looks like we are very serious when using English. And because we study about TOEFL test. So like those words are quite professional in some fields. Like we're learning the words like agriculture or astronomy or something like that. But these things wasn't really used in our normal life. And when we are communicating with others, sometimes when ordering dishes in restaurant, you didn't know how to call an ingredients in that food, which is maybe very common for a young children for like in American or something. Yeah.
I think I do perform different in Chinese class and English class, because in Chinese class, all the our teacher and classmates are Chinese. So sometimes when we not only make jokes, but also use some metaphor, it is more easy for us to understand. But in English class, since my English is poor or not that good, so I can only to do the basic communication with our teachers or friends. So we focus more on the content instead of the, in a more romantic way, the beauty of the language. So we ignore that part. So I think I do perform different in to language class, but I don't think my self-identity changed, because I still express my own ideas, and I don't think the language affects my opinions, although it limits my expression, but the original thought hasn't changed.
By the way, Ruby, I don't think that you're shy when you speak English. Maybe some of your other teachers have that impression, but that is not the impression I've ever gotten of you in class.
That's because Jeannette is the best teacher in the world.
Like, I agree with Ruby's say, like, actually she is more funny like than she in the English class. Like she knows a lot of kind of jokes or some stories. I don't know. Like she could explain it in Chinese like just better than English. Yeah.
Can you tell me something funny she did in class? Because I bet she's done some funny things. I know Jeannette a little bit.
Maybe because Ruby seems like a funny, I don't know, like she is cute. Like some past, like I don't know, like just her actions or behavior always like you could say that is funny or you could say that is cute. I don't know.
One thing I was doing as we were preparing for this panel, I mentioned to not just these panelists, but everyone in the class that James would be helping us and the co-host. And I kept repeating that James is not the James who teaches history at our school. And for some reason, that distinction was very funny to my students. Be like, yeah, and James said he'll do the introductions first, not the James who teaches history. For some reason, that was hilarious to you all. I have a question, not from me, from Frank. And he's been listening to our panel from the other side of the room. And he wanted to know what you thought the best use of your time was when you were learning English. What was the most effective thing, the best use of your time? Or maybe in contrast, what you thought was the least effective thing? Yeah, just like Jasmine says in the chat. Who would like to share something in that vein?
Frank, that's a tough question. Jeez.
Hello, can you hear me? Like, I think when the early stage of English learning, like chatting like this is not helpful at all. Like when I was very young, maybe just in primary school, I have a class with some teachers that come from maybe America, and they talk English to us, but in fact, I can't understand them at all. So they just use some very basically vocabulary, and they use a lot of like a body language to tell something. So I don't learn any English from them because my vocabulary are just so little, and I think in the early stage of English learning, remember some vocabularies and reading more is pretty important. But I think when your English become better and better, chatting is pretty important. Like just try to talk something with others.
And I think another.
You speak first.
Go ahead, Sybil.
Okay, so I just talked my last sentence. Like I think remember vocabulary in the last stage will not that effect as like speaking with others.
I'm sorry, probably because my internet, like it just have the delay. I didn't. I think for me, the most important thing is the Socrates entered Dalton 3 years ago, because the English level of, I think, all of us is poor and can't support us to communicate with others smoothly. But as teachers and the grade forced us to speak, we continues on speak, even though it might not be that good. But through the continuous discussion, we learned more about how to express ourselves and be familiar with speaking English. So I think that was a really important and useful skill for English learning, although it somehow struggled at first.
For me, I think to watch some English, maybe TV program or some drama series is very helpful and also enjoyable for me, because first of all, those program and drama is interesting to spend my time on, and also by listening to their conversation and like chattings, we could learn some maybe local expression of English, and also it could practice our maybe listening skills and our accent, maybe also learn more vocabulary. So I think I really enjoy this kind of fun, entertaining learning. Yeah.
That's true. I remember that I entered an extracurriculum course, an English class called the Lily English, and we doesn't really learn grammar or some words in it, but we learn through watching some English films. Like I remember The Lion King, and I couldn't remember the name, but it was about a deer called Bendy. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's really
actually,
inspiring.
Okay, so I'm very agree with Angela and Jojo's opinion, and I think watching some English movies and TV shows that are really attract students or children attention, that they can focus on the the theme of the show, that they can learn English from it. Yeah. And I also think listening to some English songs or listening to the English radio in the morning is really effective. Yeah.
I kind of have different opinion with them, because I think it depends on the level of your English ability. Because I still remember, like, when I was in the really first stage or the primary stage of learning English, like I can only master the alphabet and some simple words. One of our teacher gave us some English drama with only English subtitle, and there's 90% I cannot understand. So my full focus is on the animations. So I don't think it's a quite useful way for me to learn English during that stage. I think if it is in a really primary stage of learning English, still remembering the alphabet or remembering the vocabulary, yeah. Until nowadays, or until the students which has the ability or the basic ability to understand most of the English words or the regular words used in the daily life, then I think maybe watching some dramas will be useful.
So we have two people have asked a question, panelists, what type of dramas or music or books or films in English did you enjoy? What's popular? Like, what English media is fun for you to deal with and to learn from?
Broken Girls, like a TV shows long times before. Actually, I saw it when I was in junior high school, so that is kind of learning experience, and I really enjoyed with that.
For me, I recently rewatched some Harry Potter, especially when the Universal Studio just opened in Beijing. So it's really a trend that many people pay attention again to the Harry Potter series. And even my younger sister, who is 8 years old, began to watch the Harry Potter. So, and is indeed helped me to maybe also learn some English accent, British accent.
There's an opera called Hamilton, and I really love it because like not only the songs inside, but also that it really inspires me to know about the American culture and American history. And there's a really interesting point that this opera really intrigues my like interest in what called American Dream or something like that. It's really interesting.
I can still remember that the magazine that when I was in junior high school, that my English teacher recommend this magazine to me. It's called Studio Classroom, and its Chinese name is called 空中英语教室, and it also reflects keep up with the themes that happen in our real society. So when the things was happened, it comes into the magazines and talk about it. Yeah, so it's have a really great connection with our daily life. Yeah.
I think also the teachers like to sign up some homework about the famous movies in the which is in the English, such as the yes.
We do try to assign you things that you'll enjoy and aren't too terribly difficult to get through. So I don't know, I see that Linda responded to James's question in the chat, but I'm curious what the rest of you think. Was there a moment when you were like, wow, I've got this, I'm good at English, or at least, wow, this used to be hard and now it's easier? Was there a moment like that that you felt, okay, I'm getting this, I'm understanding this language?
I think if you like always talk to a person that speak English pretty well, and that's it's difficult to get confident. But if you talk more to some people that are similar like you, like I could talk to my friends, for example, maybe Linda, we have similar English level, like we are always where English level are always limited. So when we presentation, we miss, and if we talk together and we think like we both have a lot of mistakes.
And I do Chinese debate, and every times we do the debate competition, we need to research a lot of evidence or papers to support our argument. And once when I do the Chinese debate, the topic was kind of like artificial intelligence, and all of my friends and my opponents, they search on the Chinese website, but I search information on the I think JSTOR and other websites from like not in China. So I get the more different data from my friends, and based on those data, I come up with a different argument and win those debates. So I think the English helped me to explore things out of China and be more tightly connected to the world. So that is the moment I feel English is very useful for me.
I think that for me, when I discover I made a great progress in learning English, is that I can use learning English in academic writing. So in our school, that's a course or project called IRP. The full name is Independent Research Project. And the students need to use a full year to complete one research paper that's called, so the whole paragraph or the whole paper should be in English. So I think if students can complete this kind of big work, so it shows that students really masters English, connect with the subject areas that he or she really interested in. Yeah.
Jeanette, there's a question that I think James asked earlier in the chat, but I'm curious about it. And that is, how did you choose your English names? In Korea, too, many students have English names. And sometimes they were given their English names by their teacher in kindergarten. Sometimes they thought a lot about their name. So how did you get your name? Did you think a lot about it? Did someone give it to you? How did you get it?
My kindergarten teacher gave me name Ruby, and I think this name is good, so I keep it.
My name, actually I have two English names. One is called Jenny, and that was from my kindergarten teacher. She gave it to me, but I changed it when I'm in junior high school and changed it into Jojo because there's a Japanese cartoon called JoJo, and I really love that cartoon, and I think it's quite inspires me, so I changed my name to JoJo.
Actually, same as Jojo, I also have an old English name from my kindergarten, which is Lisa. And just after primary school, my teacher gave us a pencil case, and we could draw a paper that read different names. So I draw Angela. Yeah, so now my name is Angela. But actually, I think about to change back to Lisa, but actually because there's a girl group called Blackpink, and I really like the member Lisa there. But I also think about, which is, it might be strange to have the same name with a celebrity, so I just keep that mind away for some time.
I also had previous English name, which is Cynthia, but it's pretty awkward for me.
My English name.
Go ahead, Sybil, and then Cindy will go after you're done.
My previous English name is Cynthia, but when I come to my primary school, there are 3 Cynthia and 4 Jack in our class. So it is hard for my English teacher to distinguish us. And so we were asked to change a different English name. And Sybil was from a movie, I think. I forgot his name, but I think it is a detective's visit or things like that. And I think that character is really interesting and only use English name in China. And so far I haven't met who have also used Sybil as her English name. So that's how I choose Sybil as my English name.
Yeah, and my English name was also given by my primary school teacher, and she gave me this name because the name Cindy has a similar pronunciation as my Chinese name Liu Yingxin, the last name of my Chinese name. So I think many Chinese students give them English name by the similar pronunciation of their Chinese name. Yeah, a common way.
So actually, I think I'm the last one. So actually, my English name Sophia come from the ancient Greek stories. Yeah, so that's a prince called also called Sophia. So my mom gives me that English name, and I think that she wants me to become a smart girl. Yeah.
Sophia is a great name. Yeah. It's interesting. In America, often I had several students with the same name in one class. That is very, very normal because we use the same names over common. We have very common names. And so it's interesting that in China, the teacher is annoyed when there are 3 Jennies. In my class, when it is normal to have 3 Jennies or 3 Johns, very normal.
Yeah, the other day, not in this student's class, a younger group, I had 2 students named Tina, and after class, we'd had class for about 3 weeks. One of the Tinas came up and said she wanted to change her name because she didn't like having to share the name with someone else in the class, and the class isn't that big. I was like, oh yeah, of course, if you want to change your name, that's fine. But it would never cross my mind to ask a student to change their name or their nickname for my convenience, because like Jessamine was saying, it's more common. And it was very common when I was teaching in South Korea to have students with the same name, even the same family name and first name in the same room, because that's sort of how the naming works there as well.
We do have a other question from Sean. If you can go ahead and ask Sean.
Sure, thanks so much. Hey, great job, everybody. I've really been impressed to hear. So full disclosure, I'm a colleague of Jeannette's at Dalton, and I'm so really excited to see this panel. And I have a question for the Dalton Writing Center consultants on the panel. So just for the audience at school, we have a writing center where senior 3 students work with their lower grade classmates on their writing. And so I just wondered if the consultants who are on the panel could talk a little bit about their experience at the DWC and what it's like serving as an upper year English language mentor for your younger classmates.
And I'll suggest that you just go ahead in alphabetical order just to make that easier.
Okay, so I'm the first again, and indeed I'm one of the consultants. And recently, this week, I got I think 4 consultation this week about the same topic, which is the senior one's presentation about the hero's journey. And for me, this is my first time to consult on a presentation. Like, I think there might be different content to consult in a presentation than formal writing. So maybe we need to consider about the speaking skill and maybe the time limit of the presentation. So for my experience, when I look at the script of my consultees' presentations, I really pay a lot of attention to their length. Like, they must have a proper length of writing to fit in the time limits of the presentation. So I just help them to decide which content could be deleted or which is most important to say. So I think my job in those consultations is to help them to have some decisions to maybe delete or preserved. Yeah.
And as for my experience in Dalton Writing Center, when I received the pill paragraph sent by my consultee and then briefly go through about it, and then I discovered, oh, it's so similar as what I write in my senior one. And then I give her some suggestions, and I finally figured out, hey, oh, I have improved a lot in the Dalton, yeah, especially in the academic writing, yeah, because during the senior one, I always love to write long paragraph because it seems professional. And also I like to use string words because it will also make me think like, oh, my paragraph is advanced, progressed. So but now I know what the start is totally a misunderstanding about academic writing. Yeah, and that's how I felt when I
I'm also a consultant, and similar as Angela, I'm working. I am helping the senior ones through their presentation, and they will write a script of what they are going to say, which is quite different from what we have done in our senior one and senior twos. But what is the thing I told them is that the presentation is quite different from the script that you have wrote. Like, the script you have wrote down are quite you're using your writing styles to write them down, but when you're presenting, you need more interactions and eye contact and other things that you have to need in communication. And sometimes you can use some jokes or something to to attract people's attention. So it's not just only about to read what to recite and read what you have wrote down.
And I'm another consultant from Dalton Writing Center, and I've just finished a consultation Friday, I think, also about the presentation. And one thing really interesting is that how the senior one students really focus on teachers' instruction or the requirement, because the consultee's teacher asked her to give presentation with not that much words on the PowerPoint. Like the teacher said you shouldn't paste a paragraph on the PowerPoint and just read those slides. And my consultee understand those as there shouldn't be any words on the PowerPoint. So she just spent an hour to draw, I think, 30 slides and by her hand, and she complained that it was a huge work. And I feel familiar with those experiences, because when I was in senior one, I also really focused on teachers' instruction, and I'm afraid to doing things wrong. So I just comfort her that it's okay to put some key points or simple arguments on the PowerPoint. And I think the similar experience will help a lot for consultees, and sometimes even better than teachers, because probably her teacher didn't know why she drew 40 pictures as a PowerPoint. But as students, we know how she feel and how she think about her teacher's requirements. So I think that was really interesting part of being a consultant.
Yeah, and I'm the last DWC, the writing center consultant. So when I have the consultation with my consultee this week, I think it's this Thursday. So she gave me the script that Angela have already mentioned the project, and she asked me to focus on the grammar mistakes. So she thinks me is a grammar check machine. Yeah, so because her ELA teacher is mainly focused on the grammar point. So if something goes wrong, so she may lose some points. But I suggest her to focus on the main idea and also the length of the script. Yeah. If anything goes okay, so that also the final step is to check the grammar. Yeah. That's all.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Yeah, kind of to tack on to what Sean was explaining, one of the programs at our school is that the older students can apply to be trained as peer tutors, and it's a mainly writing focused, but we've tried something new this month where we encourage the younger students, as they prepared these formal presentations, to go seek out the tutoring consultants for help with the script and the planning of that. And it's interesting to hear how that's working out. Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions that we haven't gotten to yet?
Well, following up on that, what were your favorite topics? The hero's journey sounds really fun. Do you have a favorite? How many topics did you cover? And what were the ones you liked the most or the least?
I pretty like the topic that talks about fairy tales, and we also watch a lot of movies. I think fairy tales are so it's easy to read because fairy tales use some simple words, and they also have a lot of pictures.
And I think my favorite topic is the utopia and dystopia. It is actually it is hard for us at first because those terms seems really distancing, that we haven't know that in our daily life or in our learning. But after the basic introduction, we read some of the dystopia stories novel and watch some movies, and we even create our own dystopia stories. So I think that was really interesting part for me, that I've have a chance to connect with things I've never known before. And it is also tightly related to the movies. Like I think V for Vendetta were things were some entertainment movie, especially from DC. So that was the interesting part for us.
Only you first. Oh, okay, thank you. So for me, my favorite topic is the is the multi-genre. So it is a project that we did last year, and in this project we could just like I said, multi-genre. So we could include many genre, maybe from writing, maybe song, lyrics, poet, and also some of my friends create their own video games or something. Yeah, so it's really creative and is follow our own interests. So I think it is a time to show our own characteristic and time to practice our creative thinking skill. Yeah, it's really fun.
As for me, the most interesting and the most favorite part I like in the ELA class is the poetry unit. That's we have learned in senior 2. Yeah, so things that we have read a lot of articles and stories before in the senior ones. So I think the poetry unit gave us a new opportunity to read and think about the new subjects, and also reflect the writing series on our own poems. Yeah.
My favorite part. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Like just. My favorite part is about movie, because I just hate the reading part. Like I don't want to read a lot of topics, like a lot of story that is boring, or include some like the topic that very needs the deep thinking. I just prefer to watch the movies, how characters played on the screens. Like, that is like much more funny than the reading. And maybe after reading, we could just analyze why he do this, why he did this, like that.
Yeah, although I'm the last one, but I think no one mentioned the LGBT section. Yeah, it's my favorite part within the whole years of learning in the ELA class, because firstly, I think it is a really brave decisions that our ELA department decide LGBT as a theme of our class. Yeah, I think in China it is a really brave decision. There's which want to discuss this specific topic. And also, I really like the book Ari and Dante Discover the Secret of the University. Of the universe. Yeah, I think it's a really fantastic book, because we are also in the same age as Ari and Dante. We are also the teenagers, so we may have the same confusions as them when we are in the stage of growing up. And secondly, I think it is a topic which is anxiety and some issues in the public. So that's a way how I'll open my mind and like broaden my horizon during this chapter. Yes.
Actually, you're not the last one. I'm agree with Cindy that I also like the novel reading section, and I would like to mention another book called Homegoing, and just like talking about the LGBT groups. Like the Homegoing is talking about the Black people, and we're continually discuss about people's emotion and some situations of discrimination, and we're trying to be a person to see everything as equal. I think it's quite important for everyone.
I'm so glad that there's a variety of things in our classes that you all enjoyed and got a lot out of. James actually reminded me that we promised an Easter egg for conference attendees in here, and this links up very nicely. Our Easter egg is the Shawshank Redemption, which is a film that I hope all of you watched last year when we were starting our film unit. We had everyone watch it, and then we used that as a starting point to get into basically critical readings, critical lenses. We looked at it from a slightly psychological perspective, and then set the students loose over the holidays with their own texts and their own ways to read them. And I think some of you had a really good time, and some of you struggled with the text, but you still pulled it off, and that was awesome. Yes, we are Easter egg number 3. I think we're running up to our time, but if anyone else had a quick question, I think we might have time for that. Maybe, James?
I am absolutely in agreement with that. I will stop the recording in a couple minutes, unless there's an answer that's continuing on. But I personally have a few questions for the students, just because of my time having spent in Shenzhen and in Shanghai. And so I'm very curious to hear about senior level students, but I do want to make sure that we cut time at that time, because there are other presentations and it is getting late. Some people maybe want to grab dinner, but if there are other questions from the audience, please speak now. Put it into the chat room. Comments are very helpful also.
It's not a question, but I think you're all really brave and very bright and interesting. It was very nice to meet you all. But I think if I were your age, to do something like this would probably make my heart beat really fast. Did anyone feel very nervous, or were you calm? I just think you're amazing. How did you feel before coming here? Were you scared? Did you think, I hate Jeannette, why did she make me do this? And now you're like, I love Jeannette. How did you feel about coming here? If anyone wants to share.
It must be nervous. Like I still remembered my introduction. Like I'm shaking. I was shaking at that time. So but now it's kind of great because it almost an hour left. So like, communication make my body calm down. Yeah.
Well, actually, we are volunteered to come here, so we didn't hate Jeannette.
And really thanks for Socratic seminar, because it is just like our ELA class when we're doing the Socratic seminar on this panel. So I was at first nervous, but as the communication, and I also feel more casual and more familiar with this type of panel.
Jessamine, did you want to share your comment as well?
Oh, yeah, I'm one of the people who has to go eat dinner now, but before I eat dinner, I just want to say thank you so much, all of you, for talking to us. And I've never been to China, so it's really a pleasure to hear from you. And you remind me of my high school students in America when I taught there. I wish you could meet all of them and they could meet you. Thank you so much.
Well, with that, we are going to take a group picture just for you all to have a memory of the fact that you spoke before group of 20 international educators, and for you all to have this for your portfolio when you go to have your interviews with colleges and universities and maybe those jobs and internships. So if somebody or many of you want to go ahead and grab a screenshot, go ahead and do that.
Maybe we could ask some of the lurkers to turn their cameras on for just a moment. Lurkers, if there's any lurkers there. If not, that's okay, but just suggesting.
Let me, if I have them on Spotlight, is that going to make a difference too?
Lurkers is a wonderful English word. I'm so glad we invented that word.
I know some of the lurkers are other students from our school because I recognize the names, and I invited some of them to come and watch our brave panelists.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now. So thank you very much, and we'll go ahead and take the picture afterwards. So recording is being stopped.